Yo, today we have another book insight. The book is called Mindset by Carol Dweck. Who doesn't love Carol Dweck? Mindset is such a simple title. It's just a one-word title. And before I get into this, I was thinking about one thing. It was a quote from Jim Rohn I saw on TikTok, and it was quite inspiring because, like, many of times in my life, throughout my years, I have I would call it like imposter syndrome, or I don't know, like not wanting to put yourself on top of the pedestal, but kind of not feeling like you deserve what you achieve, or you're deserving of your goal that you're trying to achieve. And the quote Jim Rohn had said was, "Why not? Simply, why not?" Because I always tend to ask myself, why? Why should I do this? Why am I worth this? Why should I even want to achieve this? Why do I deserve to celebrate for doing this? On the other end of things is why not? Because you try to think about it, you start to think about, maybe I do deserve it. Maybe there is a list out there for reasons why I shouldn't do this or why I shouldn't deserve this, but there is also a list out there for reasons why I do deserve it, why I should have it. So I say to you what Jim Rohn said to everyone else: why not? Why not? Okay, let's get into it. Unfortunately, like every other part I do for this videos in this channel and this book's insight series, I haven't looked through it beforehand. I honestly, a part of my responsible side tells me, "Sammy, you should look through it. Like, Chance, you should look through the thing before you start the video." But then I get to recording the video, I'm like, nah, forget all of that. Let me just play it. Let me just start it right now. Let me just press record, which is frustrating at times, but it is what it is. It's how I record it. So first things first, mindset. The whole title is Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. How we can learn to fulfill our potential. Seems very interesting because that is a question we want to find out. How do we unlock our full potential? And for those that have seen that film Limitless, it's impossible. But we want to see how we can fulfill our potential, how we can fulfill it. Carol Dweck explains the importance of having a growth mindset rather than a fixed one. And now I just remembered what this book is about. And now this book has become one of my top 20 books of all time. The growth and fixed mindset. And hopefully I get to explain in Robert Kiyosaki's explanation of this too. But this is such an important discussion that I have had before and have had with myself, and I'm having with you guys right now, and I will continue to have this because it's such a great one. Let me not talk about it. Let's actually talk through the work. It shows how changing your beliefs about our abilities can lead to great success in all areas of our life. Idea 1. Our mindset shapes whether we believe we can learn and change and grow or not. Yeah. So it starts with the mind. It starts with that bad boy up there. That bad girl up there. Starts with your mind. It starts with your mindset and your attitude towards change and growth. People with a fixed mindset believe they are born naturally gifted at doing some things but utterly incapable of doing others. Whereas people with a growth mindset believe they can become virtuous. Is that virtuous? Of anything if they try hard enough. Yeah. So what separates the fixed people and the growth people is really in the words. The fixed people are fixed in one place. They believe that change outside of natural ability is impossible, or growing out of something is inconceivable. Whereas growth mindset centered people, they believe that there is always a door open for a change and an improvement somewhere, regardless of what you're born with and what you're not born with. So the people in the latter group continue growing throughout their lives, acquiring new skills without reservation, and actively engaging in their relationships. For them, life in all facets is in a constant state of change. By contrast, people with a fixed mindset often let their black and white way of thinking obstruct their development. Yeah, and their way of thinking is really black and white. It's really like this is this way, that is that way. There is no grey area in between. And I don't know why I did that, like I'm splitting the sea. If they fail at something, they bury their heads in the sand or blame others. They hope for everlasting love in their relationships rather than working on the relationships themselves. Yeah. So they hope and they pray that things happen without putting in any of the work. You know, God has given you the ability to work on things. So use that ability to work to improve your circumstances. And you can really start to understand when we go through this, you start to see where the line is between growth and fixed heads of people. And it really goes to show that the person with the growth mindset is going to achieve a lot more in life. Whoever this growth person is will achieve way more than this fixed person right here, who will achieve a lot more. And I think every person in their life has been a fixed mindset person or a growth mindset person, because you're not born with it and you stay that way. It's something you adapt, you change. It changes over time, like you, depending on your circumstance. But hopefully, someone like you guys can relate to being both sides of the spectrum, and you know, share in the comments what's it been like, and what's an example for you where you've had a fixed mindset, and what's an example where you've had a growth mindset. Idea 2. An individual's abilities are set in stone in the fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that talent is king. In their view, a person's ability are set in stone from the get-go. A person is by nature either intelligent and talented or stupid and incompetent, and will stay that way. Yeah, so they just believe that you're born with what you have, just like you're born with your race, you're born with your height, you're born with your features and your family. In that same way, you're born with your talent, you're born with your mindset, you're born with your skills, and that won't change. So they really believe that you're limited to what you're born with, which is such a big inhibitor, because yes, you are born with a lot. Like, I am born black, I am born in a Muslim family, I am born in a Sudanese family, I have these features I have on my face, I have this height that I have all of these things that I'm born with, my family, wherever. But on the other side of things, mindset, beliefs, that stuff you're not born with. Like, that stuff that stuff changes as you grow and as you learn about life. And that is why, like, Islam helped me so much with not identifying people by what they're born with. Like, oh, he's black, oh, he's white, oh, he's Asian. Islam taught me to identify people by their religion or what they believe in. Like, what do you believe in? That's really what separates people. What you're born with doesn't separate you, because it's something you cannot control. It's out of your control. And having a fixed mindset isn't great, because it limits you. It really does limit you. Idea 3. Growth and development are possible in the growth mindset. When children with the growth mindset are given a difficult math problem to solve at school, they jump to the challenge and want to do more problems just like here at home. They recognize that the more problems they solve, the more they learn, and that is a great mindset. And as a kid, I don't know if I ever had that mindset. I was so focused on everything else but math problems. But I love to see, like, is when a challenge is presented in front of someone and they're willing to tackle it, because they know that as they work their mind to solve the problem and practice attitudes like independence and curiosity and teamwork and trying to tackle this issue, they know that they'll grow as they overcome it. And it's just great to see. Idea number 4. People with a fixed mindset seek approval. Those with a growth mindset seek development. Ooh, quite an interesting one. Those with a fixed mindset seek approval. And those with the... Why am I reading that again? Why am I reading that again? I know I'm not going to say anything about that point. Idea 4 is speaks for itself. It's a very good point. We're going to move on to the next. Number 5. The fixed mindset sees failure as disasters. The growth mindset sees them as opportunities. Yes, and over the last few months of being on online forums like Quora and Reddit, I've learned to understand again, like through repetition of sharing my knowledge and practicing, remembering going through my memories to help people, that so many authors in the personal development field have reiterated the same kind of fact that failure should not be looked at as something very bad. Failure can be looked at as something, well, it should be looked at something like a learning opportunity, because if you try beat yourself up about your failures and just try to crush your identity, crush yourself because of your failures, you won't have room to grow. If you look at your failures as mistakes you made in your past, you forgive yourself for them, and you look at how you can learn from it so you can be a better person moving forward, that's how you develop as a man or a woman. Failure has dramatic repercussions for the people with a fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset do not believe they can learn from their mistakes. They see a single failure as evidence that they will be losers forever. One defeat negates and devalues all past successes and progress. Yeah, it's very, very negative, my approach to it, because there are lessons in your failures if you look with the intention of finding the lesson. And there was this great one, I think it was named Tony Robbins. I seen a video that he had asked this guy he was having a conversation with to look around the room, and he looked around the room, gave him 10 seconds. He looked back at Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins said, in his way, "Did you see the color red? Like how many objects in the room were red?" And this is just kind of, it's not exactly word for word what he said. And the guy said, "Oh, I think I saw one or two things that were red." Okay, now I've completely messed it up. Now I've messed up the scenario, but you guys you can find the video on TikTok, or on YouTube. He told him, "All right, cool. It seems you picked a few things. Now look around the room again." He looked around the room for 10 seconds, and he looked back at Tony Robbins. And then Tony Robbins said to him, now that you've looked around, how many things did you see that were red?" And he started listening this thing and this thing and that thing on the wall over there, that thing on the desk and whatever. And he told him, like, at some point you start to look at burgundy and consider that red, or you looked at a certain color and you're like, maybe it could be red. But the point at what he was getting across is confirmation bias is very, very important. And also, what is essential is that when you know what you're looking for, you will have that lens, you'll have that pair of glasses on, so that you can find it in an easier manner. So when you look at your failure through the lens of lessons and improvement, and through that lens, you can find some way you can change and improve moving forward. And I dragged on with this, so we're going to move on to the next point. People with a fixed mindset avoid difficulties. Those with a growth mindset relish them. There are many things in life we can only achieve with effort. Yet, when people with a fixed mindset are faced with a difficult situation, all they can see are risks. Because the more time and energy they invest in something, the fewer excuses they have if they fail. Plus, they believe in the enormous power of natural talent. Gifted people should not need to try so hard. Yeah, this is really putting a bright light on what the fixed mindset is and what the growth mindset is, and where the line is between both. So there's so many things you can learn when you go through difficulties, and avoiding difficulties strips that away from you. So like the growth mindset is the growth mindset it's a concept for you to understand that there's a better result when you aim for growth and when you aim for development. And relishing difficulties is a part of that. and it's essential for your growth. It's crazy because I've had it myself, so I can relate when I read it, that when I've been through a difficult situation before, I've had a time where all I saw was the risks. I never considered what I could benefit from it and what the potential, like, what's the reward from it. I just considered all the risk involved. There's too much risk. There's nothing I'm not even gonna try it, and I missed out. Because I said that it was just not worth it, because I didn't look at what could come out of it. I just saw about the risk, and it's a learning lesson now. Yeah, that moving forward, don't be the fixed mindset person all the time. This way of thinking makes it impossible for people with a fixed mindset to better themselves without questioning their own talent, and so they avoid difficult situations. They do not want to potentially make a fool of themselves. And I've been through this, for example, where I've been that guy in secondary school that didn't try his hardest on when we played football on the pitch, or when we played baseball, or when we done running, sports, high jump. Like, I've been that guy that kind of steps back or doesn't try my hardest, so I don't feel embarrassed that I couldn't do that well at my best possible ability. I always had the excuse of, I wasn't really trying. If I tried, it could have been something different. But I never really. There was times I never tried because I was afraid of that, and that fear is an inhibitor to your development, and that is what this is getting at. That embarrassment and fear of making a fool out of yourself shouldn't stop you, because at the end of the day, it stops you from doing the best you can and growing. Idea number 7, our mindset is often strongly influenced by the role models we had as children. Very, very true. And I'm only as of recent starting to learn about delving into as much as I can into my own memory of my past as growing up in childhood, and figuring out what life was like, because I shut down a lot of that growing up, because it's just how I was growing up in my area, kind of forgetting about my history, just kind of keeping things moving forward. But now I'm trying to reflect back and think, what was life like for me growing up? And it's almost crazy because it feels like I'm talking about someone else, but I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my life. So I'm trying to figure out that and going through that, so I can also figuring out, now that I'm reading it, I remember now figuring out who influenced me strongly while I was a child. And I remember that my biggest influence was my dad. So leave it at that. Idea 8. Anyone can adopt a growth mindset and make the impossible possible. Yeah, you're not born with it, and it's something you can adopt, something you can. Nobody has to be the victim of their surroundings when developing a growth mindset. The brain can be trained like any other muscle. If we want a growth mindset, we teach ourselves to think that way, one step at a time. Here's an example. You accidentally drop a plate on the floor. The fixed mindset. The first fixed thought might be, I'm so clumsy. I'm so clumsy. But people who are conscious of this reaction and want to change it can push themselves to adopt the growth mindset by thinking, oh well, these things happen. I'll clean it up and be more careful next time. And yeah, that's where that ends. Very, very key to put it in a example format for you to kind of see, because a lot of it's theory and, oh, you should think this way and this is why it's good. But when you put it in practice and you see an example, you start to understand how it is in real life. And there are many other examples, and I was going to go into Robert Kiyosaki's one, but I think I am doing a Rich Dad Poor Dad book in the next coming books. It's not too far away, so I'll leave that example when we get to it, because that is a very, very important conversation we will have. That is a book that influenced me a lot, and on looking into Robert Kiyosaki's mind is very, very interesting what we find out. And very, very good book, Mindset. If you haven't read it, check it out. I hope this summary's been insightful for you to understand my own view on the book and what I took out of it. Thank you for watching.